my friends, I'm Rick, and this is your seat at the table. In 3005, a large, hitherto unknown mech unit arrives in the Federated Suns. Rumors and speculations ran wild about the origin of Wolf's Dragoons. The most common theme at that time was that the brothers Jamie and Joshua Wolf stumbled across the El Dorado of SLDF catches, and several equally mysterious supply runs into the deep periphery only fueled these beliefs, the ultimate lost tech find of a century. So what I'm talking about here is the almost mythical Brian Ketch. The term of Brian Ketch is often assigned to any discovered stockpile of lost tech in the modern era, a convenient moniker considering that such discoveries may have been placed by any number of entities. And if I look down the list: the SLDF, the Rim Worlds, and or other houses, bandits, forgotten battlefields, third parties, and unknown interstellar players. The list is just quite extensive. Often the kernel of many Merc backstories and the newfound fortunes of some individuals, these Eldorados can be found in the inner sphere, the periphery, and beyond. They can be discovered on most populous of worlds and the most remote of asteroids. Some are rumored centuries old, some are forgotten forgotten complexes, others exist only as figments of the imagination. Each year, rumors and facts circulate across the known space of some lost discovery found. Others go unspoken, known only to a few. People die for these treasure troves of technology, die to preserve the secrets, die because someone assumes they know where X marks the spot. Many simply just die in the pursuit of these lost treasures. The quote, lost catches might be merely hidden supplies and munitions and or consumables of war, material long degraded beyond use. Others might contain vast armies of mechs, aerospace fighters, tanks, and weapons. Each age sees countless contributions to these desired MacGuffins, and many fortune hunters have spent their entire lives in pursuit, only to find nothing. While some lucky fringe farm girl might stumble literally into a catch that will forever change her life. If we consider the centuries that have passed, it amazes some that they still exist at all. That the Brian catches that were created in such numbers that must have been numbering in the hundreds, perhaps thousands. So why were they created in the first place? Why so many? How is it that they have gone centuries in some cases unfound and untouched? Space is vast, even when considering how many star systems have and how many worlds have been visited by humanity since the discovery of FTL technology. Logistics is crucial, both to the colonization and for force projection. And hang on, Frankie, stop that! You leave that thing alone. Mommy gets mad when you get. You already. My wife's got a bunch of dream catchers all over the walls, and they've already pulled half the feathers off of that one. Stop that! You just stop it. So, logistics is crucial both for colonization and force projection. When it takes months, even years to traverse space, considerable effort or preparations must be taken. Looking at the reunification war alone, the SLDF and the Grey Houses massed vast fleets and armies. The supply requirements must have been extreme. Operations must be supported to be successful. Just as the defenders had to prep for the onslaught, stockpiles on both sides grew by magnitudes. If we look at the Rim Worlds and the Amorous Civil War, the Amorous Empire, it is said that many secret bases existed in the deep periphery. Maybe lost, others in these years the SLDF SLDF closed the news. Some argue that the Rimworld's Republic wouldn't have bothered, that they would have used up everything fighting the Kerensky's SLDF. However, it's possible some generals, etc., thought to fight on and did cache material supplies within the near Terran systems or the deep periphery. Just as some generals and or forces in the Rimworlds proper, seeing the writing on the wall, may have attempted to cache material prior to a world falling in order for the SLDF for greed and for personal reasons, and in hopes of victory in the core, or to perhaps come back sometime as a guerrilla force or something like this to continue the fight. Some of these caches predate the Star League. Some of these may be hidden from secret facilities, etc., belonging to the hegemony and not the Star League specifically. Others were just private or corporate stashes meant to preserve material from falling in the hands of, quote, enemies. I mean, if you know your planet's being invaded and you're a corporate entity with a lot of resources or material that you want to preserve, and you don't want the, quote, the enemy of the government to get their hands on it, perhaps you're going to hide your stuff too. Or if you're just a wealthy individual, maybe you want to hide your stuff too. Meanwhile, the list just goes on, right? And while the bulk of catches are most likely SLDF in nature, we cannot assume that they were all SLDF in nature. Even in the modern era, catches are still being created and lost. Clans, Comstar, Word Awake example. For example, in The Ghost of Winter, the young Strawn comes across a hidden outpost left behind by Clan Steel Viper. Rumors of this cache, I always get a little bit confused on how to pronounce that word. Draws Susie One-Eye Ryan, the infamous Pirate Queen, a remote world colonized by a corporation, one that doesn't appear on the regular star charts, a mere stepping stone on a clan's march to the inner sphere. Clan Steel Vipers suffered greatly in those battles in the inner sphere and eventually is destroyed and absorbed. How many of their outposts did the clan leave behind? How many will take centuries to be uncovered? We may never know the answers to that. A few generations later, the Word of Break slows mass destruction across the inner sphere and periphery. The newly founded Republic of the Inner Sphere and its allies launch a jihad of their own in response. In the aftermath of how many worlds, how many labs and bases were destroyed, partially destroyed, or caught off and lost? I mean, how many of these things in 100 years, 200 years from now will be quote, discovered as a lost catch? More and more such examples of how brine catches come to exist. How many more lie waiting to be discovered? So you have to ask yourself, I mean, at the end of the day, and that's all my notes on this particular subject, that this is kind of an underlying theme of Battletech. As much as the battle mech themselves is a crucial part of the game system. The idea that vast armies and vast interstellar players over centuries have been in conflict in various stages and degrees across the human sphere of influence and beyond, because we really don't have an actual idea of limitations wise of just how far humanity has traveled into space. I mean, we know that we all were suspecting that the clan's homeworlds are the furthest expansion, but that's kind of disingenuous at best if you really go from that angle. I mean, there's always going to be entities and groups and individuals who are just that type. They want to explore the unknown. They want to find the riches that are may still be to be found. There could be successful little empires still to be located in the deep periphery. I mean, I believe that, and I've said this in other source books or videos, if you look at the exploration and expansion of humanity, there's a lot of limitations as to why there's only, it doesn't continuously go on. And the lack of starship or jump ship capacity is part of that. The constant conflict is part of that as well. And then there's the possibility that who knows what's beyond. And if you look at how the periphery is set up, there are entire swaths of the deep periphery that are unexplored. There's just absolutely no information, no lore, no anything whatsoever by the the various incarnations of the game companies to fill in the blanks. And in part, I believe and argue that we don't want them to fill in the blanks. There should be a wide open sandbox with various oases here and there that we do know about, and then plenty of unknown things for the imagination and for the individual gamers to fill in themselves. This is what helps make my game campaign or my game version of Battletech different from yours, for example. That's just my opinion, of course. And until next time, if you guys have anything to say on this matter, by all means, let's get some discourse going down below in the comment section. This is Rick, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.